Coach, well, obviously we saw P listed as questionable. What was he able to do today, and how's he looking?
Oh, he looks great. Was able to go through an entire shoot-around, back out there with the guys, so it was really good to have him out there.
You said the other day that you guys obviously miss him. You want him back. How much is it, though, real that it's going to take a minute to reintegrate him into the lineup?
I mean, that's normal. We've talked about, guys being in and out of lineups for times. It takes time to get fully acclimated. But again, he's such a smart basketball IQ guy, understands the things that he needs to do when he's on the floor with our guys, and we just continue to make adjustment as the game will go on.
Is he available tonight? Do you know yet? He is. Okay.
Yeah.
Was today the first time that he'd been out on the practice court with his teammates?
For walkthrough, he's done some things before, but this was actually the official first time, yeah.
What does that do for the mental aspect of him being back on the court with the guys and around the team?
I mean, it does wonders. He loves being out there with his teammates, loves being on the court, he loves the hoop, and I think it just does so much for him, but also for our guys, just understanding, his voice, his presence, what he provides for this team in so many ways is critical and crucial for us.
As far as his approach to kind of coming back, and obviously this wasn't as major an injury as it was last year, but how did his approach to kind of getting himself kind of back into rhythm, keeping himself ready and sharp, how did that change from last year to this year with this injury?
I mean, just keeping the conditioning up is always the number one priority, but be also doing it in a smart way where you're not a chance to re-aggravate something. I think he did a great job of it, more so the mental approach, how engaged he was with the guys, talking on the bench, talking to coaches. I think that was obviously a shorter period of time, but he's done a great job. Just continue to stay engaged and noticing the things that are happening on the court while he's been out.
You know how long you intend to play him? Is there a minute cap on him? Is there kind of a especially playing a team like Miami, they like to get up and down. Their pace is way up. Yeah, with Paolo specifically, you have to kind of watch to make sure he's not getting overly winded or overly kind of sucked into how fast they want to play, or how do you kind of manage that in a game like tonight?
I think that goes for our entire team. You don't want to get caught in that. We've said this before with the Chicagos of the world and their pace and how fast they play. You don't want to get caught in the rat race, and I think that's so important for us that we continue to play our style of basketball, but understanding their strengths and being able to take those things away.
The team while Paolo was out saying that they want to keep the momentum coming to make that transition easier. So what's been their response to having Paolo back in the lineup?
I think guys are excited. Guys are excited to be back on the floor with their brother. That they worked so hard together for training camp. He goes out for some time, but being able to have him back in the fold, these guys are excited to be able to get on the floor and put it all together. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Paolo, first off, how are you feeling, and how excited are you to have the opportunity to be back on the floor with your teammates tonight?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I've been feeling really good this week. It's only been 10 games, but it feels like it's been 50. So just happy to be back out there and get to run up and down, compete, and yeah, just be out there for the rest of the year.
We talked to you after the injury diagnosis. You said you were hoping not to be gone too long to where your conditioning would get out of shape. How do you feel like your wind is?
I mean, it feels good. I'm sure it'll be an adjustment. I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of adrenaline, but my legs feel very fresh. It's not the same as it was last year where I missed, 30-some games. It's only been 10 games. I've done a ton of testing and running and jumping, dunking. All the movements that I normally do in the game, I've been able to do without any, pain or discomfort. So I'm excited.
I know, like you mentioned, it wasn't the same length of time, but how much did going through last year kind of help you approach how to kind of rehab and get yourself back for this injury, even if it was much short term?
Yeah, it helped. It definitely helped. Just thinking back on my experience last year with the oblique, obviously it was a little more severe. It had to take a lot more time, but just knowing what that felt like and how I progressed, and feeling it with my groin, but in a shorter period of time, just the progression of how I felt. How I worked my way through things and where I'm at right now.
Like last year, it seemed like the next man up mentality thing kind of really had to hit home for a lot of you guys. This year, it seems like it's very natural. See Tristan stepping in, getting things done, the rookies coming in. How important and what does that say about maybe the growth and maturity of this team for that to happen?
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of talented players, a lot of guys, just hungry for the opportunity, who get out there and just play hard. And so, when you have someone go down, guys are ready to step up, able to win a ton of games and just gain confidence. And, you want them to continue to have that confidence when they're out there and, whether I'm out there or anyone's out there, you want them to play at a certain level. You don't want any drop-off. So it's been good, and, we just want to keep it up.
You obviously never want to miss time, but having to kind of stop after 10 games, how important was it to kind of keep in mind that this is a long season and you didn't want this injury to nag and kind of follow you throughout the year? How important is it to kind of keep an eye on it and make sure that you're fresh for the long journey that's left ahead?
No, yeah, you're right. It's a marathon, it's a long season, and even though I want to get back out there as soon as possible, I had to listen to my body and just take the time that was needed. And then even coming back, I trust the training staff, and I'm sure they're going to have things for me to still do and work through in terms of minutes and stuff like that. So I just got to trust them, and when I'm out there, give it my all, and then when it's a full go, it's a full go. So I'm just excited to be back out there with the team, though.
One of the teams you did see before you went down was this Miami Heat team. What stood out to you in the times you saw them both in preseason and regular season?
Yeah, I would say just how fast they've been playing. I know they're one of the top offenses right now in the league, and they just play really fast. And they're not running a lot of pick and rolls. It's a lot of just drive and kick, ball movement, and running in transition. So got to be ready for that. And then obviously they always bring it defensively and are intense on that side of the ball. So, it's a team that we're very familiar with. I'm very familiar with, a division opponent. So just looking forward to the challenge, and I know it's going to be, a fun game.
Obviously, you played 12 games with Desmond before you got hurt, but you went for 37 twice while you were out. I mean, what's the biggest thing you learned about watching him up close like this?
I really didn't learn much. I always thought highly of him in Memphis. He's been a 20-point scorer pretty much his whole career. I feel like we all were waiting on those explosions, high points. Most impressive thing is that he was doing it, without really, in Detroit he didn't hit any threes. It was all 2-point scoring, getting to the free throw line, and just showing his ability to get downhill and make plays, which I think is really underrated about his game. And we just want him to keep playing with that aggressiveness, hunting his shots, and just making the defense have to, really respect him from every spot on the floor. Obviously teams are going to close out, get him off the line, but when he's able to dominate from inside the arc like that, it just makes our team, completely different.
Getting a different perspective, watching from the sideline the last 10 games, what stood out to you about the way the guys are playing right now?
Yeah, I think everyone's just playing with a lot of confidence. Guys are really just in rhythm for the most part, and we're able to beat some good teams. I think that win in Detroit was a huge win for us, and just being able to get back in the winning column and really start to put together, good game after good game. I know after the San Antonio game, even the Chicago game, I know we were frustrated, as a group with, we felt like we could have played better. So I think guys are really going to bring it tonight.